Order. The honourable member for Timmins, James Bay.
Mr. Speaker, there's been enormous political fallout for the Conservatives since they propped up Gerstein at the Conservative Convention with his lines about Duffy. But now with the RCMP affidavit, we know that Gerstein was a key negotiator in the attempt to whitewash the audit. So can the Prime Minister's person over there tell us, has anyone in the Prime Minister's office spoken with Gerstein in the last 2 weeks in order to attempt to contain the fallout of the damage that's been done to their credibility?
Mr. Speaker, I'll endeavour to ask my colleagues when the last time they spoke to people was. I'm not sure why that's how that's important or relevant to government business, but I think what is important and relevant to government business, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that the Leader of the Opposition 17 years ago could have stopped massive corruption in Quebec, and that the story just doesn't seem to add up. He seems somewhat uncomfortable, Mr. Speaker, because the Leader of the Opposition suggests he didn't open the envelope, Mr. Speaker, when he was getting a bribe, Mr. Speaker. He suggests that he didn't accept the bribe. But it doesn't make sense. How does he know he was getting a bribe if he never opened the envelope?
Order. Order. The honourable member for Timmins, James Bay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't really know what to say on hearing that laptop, so I will just continue on. Mr. Speaker, another key player in this is Benjamin Parham. Now, on May 21st, Parham said he never informed the Prime Minister about the negotiations taking place with Mike Duffy. But Parham was the Prime Minister's lawyer. And the RCMP affidavit shows that he was one of the key 3 negotiators of a deal that's now being investigated for bribery and breach of trust. So, did the Prime Minister give Mr. Parham, his lawyer, authorization to conduct these negotiations? And if not, would they agree that Mr. Parham overstepped his boundaries when he went ahead with this negotiations? Yes or no?
Again, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Parham is not the subject of any investigation, Mr. Speaker. What this is with respect to Senator Duffy accepting a payment, which he didn't incur, and Nigel Wright repaying that, Mr. Speaker. That's what this is about. And again, I try to make the comparison why we think it's so wrong in this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, and why we fought for accountability in the Senate, because it would be inappropriate to do that, Mr. Speaker. It would be like the Leader of the Opposition accepting per diems either at Stornoway or then saying that his home in Montreal was a secondary residence. We know he's lived there a long time. I'm sure he doesn't do that. That would be inappropriate, and the Canadian taxpayers would think that's inappropriate, and that's why we fought for accountability in the Senate so hard, Mr. Speaker, and why we'll continue to fight for taxpayers' accountability.
Member for Winnipeg Central.